Paul Ryan gave a speech last week, and he lied relentlessly about Medicare for All.
You know what? As you sort of mentioned it, I'm more of a policy guy. Ideas are what brought me into this line of work. I love taking an idea, putting it on paper, going through the debate, tweaking it, improving it, adjusting it, and then seeing it come to fruition. And most important of all, watching it actually improve people's lives. They are proposing to abolish our healthcare system as we know it. And it is in the best representation of how far the Democratic Party has gone off the rails, in my opinion. They now call it Medicare for All because it sounds good. But in reality, it actually ends Medicare in its current form. It ends private insurance altogether, including for the roughly 180 million people who count on health insurance coverage through their employer. Everyone, no matter how much you like your plan, would have their plan taken away. Instead, you will be put into a government-run plan where you have no say in the cost or in the coverage. Obamacare meant fewer choices. Medicare for All means no choices, no competition. How much do you get charged for this? That's a good question. A nonpartisan study found that a single-payer program like this would cost the government a whopping $32.6 trillion over the next 10 years. Just to put the price tag of this idea in perspective, we could double all federal taxes, yours, mine, families, businesses, everyone's taxes, and still not be able to pay for this. The only way you could control costs would be to ration care and restrict access to doctors and treatments. All of these decisions would be made in Washington, of course. So even after the failures of Obamacare, this is the direction that the left wants to take our country. Taxpayers paying more to get less, fewer choices, if any choices at all, poor quality of care, all while having the government control this huge part of our lives, such a personal and intimate thing for us. A single-payer system is a singularly bad idea. It all brings to mind what Margaret Thatcher once said as she described the problem with socialism. Eventually, you run out of other people's money. And it just shows how today's Democratic Party has gone further left to the fringes, further back to discredited ideas.
The fringes, discredited ideas like, every other developed country on Earth already has in place. I was tweeting about this yesterday because I'm impressed at how brazenly they lie. Listen, they act like at best Medicare for All is this pie-in-the-sky, unicorn fairy dust idea, and they act like at worst it's a dangerous hellscape of a failed system. When the reality is, it's not untested, it's tested, and it's not a dangerous hellscape, it's actually the opposite. It kicks our ass. And he talks as if like people in France and the UK and Canada and Australia and Norway and Denmark and Iceland and Sweden can't hear him. Because when they hear this, they laugh hysterically. They think you're a dumbass, Paul, or you're a liar, both, probably. They think you're both. Because you're just so wrong. Everything you're saying is so wrong. Problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. They think that's like witty and that's like a really good point. Well, people pay taxes. Every developed country has taxes. Taxes go to fund certain things. In the United States, we have taxes. Taxes go to fund the roads, the bridges, the cops, the fire department, the military, you name it. Can you look at any of those things and say, the problem with socialism and taxes is that you eventually run out of other people's money? No, because it's grandfathered into the system because you go, well, come on, certain things, the government is going to have certain functions. It's just a question of what are those priorities and what should they be? And most reasonable people put healthcare in the same category as like, hey, maybe we should have roads. But he's such a fucking smear merchant. All right, let's go through this. I like how I put in that first part for you because I find the juxtaposition hilarious. He started out the speech by saying, me? Whatever, bro, not a big deal, but I'm a policy guy. I'm just like an ideas guy. I'm all about debating ideas and helping people. Who are you, Dave Rubin? I'm all about these ideas, bro. I got these ideas. I'm an ideas guy. I want to have a battle of ideas. That's what I'm all about ideas. They always say that, but then they don't tell you what their ideas are. It's just like they like to talk about talking about shit, but they don't actually just talk about the shit. It's just like, ideas, bro. I'm all about ideas, bro. What are the ideas? Say the ideas. Free speech and stuff, bro? Yes, I agree with free speech also. Easy. Next. Moving forward. But see, Paul Ryan's doing I'm a policy guy. I'm all about ideas. And then what does he go on to do? Viciously smear and strawman the other side when they present an honest, coherent idea. So he goes from that to, I'm a policy guy. I'm an ideas guy. I'm such a policy guy that these Democrats are off the rails for proposing Medicare for all. What? If you're a policy guy and you're an ideas guy, you would immediately look at, for example, the Commonwealth Fund study that came out a few years ago, which found very clearly the United States is the worst in the industrialized world in terms of our health care. We leave millions of people, 29 million people, without health insurance. Medical bills are one of the top causes of bankruptcy. We pay about double what other developed countries pay, and we have worse health outcomes. So Mr. Policy Guy, Ideas Guy, didn't even look at the fucking Commonwealth Fund study. Didn't look at the United Nations World Health Organization ranking. I'm a policy guy. I'm all about ideas, bro. Ideas like fucking lying about Medicare for all and smearing the other side. He says Democrats are off the rails for proposing it. And then he says, it ends Medicare as we know it. I am fucking stunned, absolutely stunned that the Republicans, the elected Republican officials, all got in a room and they said, all right, what talking points are we going with for Medicare for all? And they agreed to go with, how about we say Medicare for all is anti-Medicare? You're going to say Medicare for all is anti-Medicare. Yeah, Medicare for all, let's say that ends Medicare. That's like saying, I want to create a program, universal shoes for all. And they say, well, why don't we counter that by saying, you guys hate shoes? But we said shoes for all. So you guys, hate shoes, bro? You're so stupid! I can't even... How can you be that stupid? That's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life! I'm not kidding! I'm in awe of how stupid that is. Because, guys, you have to understand that cleared a room full of top Republican officials. How about we say that Medicare for all, ends Medicare? How about we say that shoes for all, ends shoes? You're so dumb. And then he says, they want to end private insurance. Not true. The fucking Medicare for all bill that the Democrats proposed, Bernie Sanders' bill, specifically says this does not ban private health insurance. If you want to get supplemental private care, you can get it. Guys, notice something. They don't have a real response, so they have to lie. That's what's happening. And again, Medicare for all is expanding Medicare, not ending Medicare. You know who really wants to end Medicare? You do, Republicans and Paul Ryan. Why do I say that? Because on a regular basis, you guys propose privatizing Medicare, which is ending Medicare. Oh my God, they're so disingenuous. And then he goes on to say, no matter how much you like your plan, you lose it. There are no choices, he says. Why don't you please go one layer deeper, Paul? One layer deeper, you faux intellectual prick. One layer deeper. There are no choices because everything is already covered. He leaves that part out. I never, even when I was a fucking kid and I first learned about healthcare and health insurance, I never understood, what do you mean a choice of a plan? So, some plans are going to say, hey, man, if you break your arm, we'll cover it. And other plans are going to be like, Nah, not on the arm-breaking one. We'll leave that one off. I never got it. I was like, why would you have... It just struck me as absurd that something like health insurance and healthcare, that there would be like plans or choices. My idea, I think it's expressed very well in the movie John Q, I think it's called, with Denzel Washington, where he's like, sick, help, sick, help. That's it. You're sick, you get help, and you don't go bankrupt, and you don't have to pay out of pocket. That's it. Sick help. That's it. But he's like, it gets rid of choices by covering everything and actually improving upon. In Bernie's bill, they even cover like dental and eye care, which is not in the overwhelming majority of private health insurance plans. Again, liar, 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 lying Ryan. That's all he's got. And then finally, we get to again. Here's how you know somebody's just lying. If they bother to talk about healthcare and they tell you the price tag of Medicare for all without telling you what we currently spend, they're a liar. Full stop. Medicare for all would cost $32.6 trillion. So that's designed to make you go, oh, 32.6 trillion? Well, that sounds like a lot. You know what it would cost if we didn't do Medicare for all? 34.6 trillion. So the real question is, how can we afford not to do it? How can we afford to keep our current shitty system where we pay double what the rest of the developed world pays, and we leave 29 million people uncovered, and we have medical bankruptcies as the top cause of bankruptcy? How can we afford to keep doing what we're doing? But he doesn't say that. He doesn't even tell you what the current system would cost. So think about it. They never tell you this, that yes, your taxes would go up, but you wouldn't have a private premium anymore, so you would actually net save money. And even when Bernie Sanders made that point, CNN took it out of context, and they just played him saying, your taxes will go up. They didn't play the rest of the sentence. But you'll no longer have a private premium, and you'll save money. They didn't say because with our current healthcare system, what's your insurance payment that you have to pay every month? What is that? What is that? Private taxes. You're paying taxes to a private company. Have to have health insurance. Have to have it. So you're paying a private tax. So you're paying more as a private tax than you would if we had Medicare for all, where it comes out of your taxes, but you actually save money. So he's a liar. He's not telling you the truth. And finally, he brings up the ration care point. You know, I've responded to this point so many times, and it hurts me that other people have not picked up on this and started using it, because it is vitally important. When they say Medicare for all, we would have to ration care in a Medicare for all system. You say, we already ration care. We have anywhere from 32,000 to 45,000 people that die every year in the U.S. because they don't have access to basic care. So we already ration care. And as a result of it, up to 45,000 people die every year because they don't have access to basic care. In this country, the way we ration care with our private system is by, how rich are you? How much money do you have? Are you well off? Because then you'll get care pretty quickly. Are you not that well off? You middle class? Sorry. You're not going to get help that quickly now, are you? Whereas in single-payer countries, they go by, okay, who needs the help the most? That's who we're going to help immediately. Imagine having to actually structure an argument against that position. The position of, okay, in our healthcare system, whoever needs help the most gets it the quickest. Imagine having to actually argue against that position. Like, no, I think that's a bad way to do it. Excuse you? Please, I'd love to hear this. What's your argument? But see, Paul Ryan doesn't bother to do that because he can't argue against us. He just lies. That's the whole point of what he's doing here. So, Paul Ryan's a scumbag. I just want everybody to know that. He's not an intellectual. He's a faux intellectual. He read Ayn Rand when he was a fucking teenager, and that helped shape his life. And it's amazing that this guy has people duped. Like this, really? You think this guy's like intelligent? I get this feeling about many of the elected Republican officials. They're just as bad as Trump. It's just that they pretend better. You know, like Trump, he has got the unfiltered thing. Paul Ryan's totally filtered. But you look at his voting record, and I haven't checked it out on 538, but they have the tracking, politicians in the age of Trump thing. My guess is Paul Ryan votes with Trump over 90% of the time. So the idea that like, oh, he's intellectual, but Trump's a dumbass, as many in the mainstream would have you believe, silly, absolutely silly.